There is nothing here that's yours, unless you're here to buy it.
Buy it? Ha ha ha! Kenobi, Skywalker, I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Honda.
So, this week will be a rather quick recounting, as the tale is simple and basically done to death at this point, so it comes down to the high points of the character work rather than any complexity to the concept or narrative itself. What we do get though is a confirmation that Season 2 is very much about the bounty hunters, plus a sweet return, unlike the Alliance, and a moment I never realised before, but proves our returning pirate isn't incapable.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You are a fucking idiot.
This episode kicks off with Annie, Obi and Ahsoka searching for clues regarding the disappearance of a medical outpost above the planet of Seleucami. As they arrive, they are quickly attacked by a droid dispensary, unloading several bombers to pursue our heroes. Anakin takes evasive action, but they get hit and descend pretty quickly to the planet's surface, where the three eject and lure the vultures into a cliff, blowing all of them up and their ship. The gang regroup and become acquainted with the life on world, but locate a farm in the distance that appears initially to be uninhabited, however does host a ship that they can get back to the Republic with, and inform of what transpired above world regarding the medical station. As they investigate a bit more, Anakin discovers a few locals hidden below the floors of a homestead, to which he and Ahsoka are caught off guard very quickly by a band of bounty hunters.
Fuck.
Comprised of a Frank named Rumi, a Zabrakian female named Sugi, a Sori named Serapis, and a Kyuzo named Embo. They demand that Anakin and Ahsoka comply, but are challenged when Obi-Wan appears, breaking the tie, and as things are about to heat up, the tension is cut by the leader of the farmers, Casis, asking for an audience with the Jedi, as he and his community explain that pirates are pillaging their lands for the crops that they're growing. After a discussion among the Jedi, bounty hunters, and Felucians ends with Obi-Wan stating that they cannot get involved, and as they're not affiliated with the Republic, there's very little they can do. The Jedi's attitude changes when they discover that the pirate gang that's been plaguing the village is led by their old pal Hondo Anaka. Hondo becomes ecstatic at seeing Annie and Obi again, but demands that they don't interfere with his business after Obi-Wan offers to pay the pirates off if they could deliver them to the nearest Republic outpost. And in response to Hondo's threats, Sugi stands up against him and says if they won't buy the Nicelum then they can fuck off. Hondo doesn't take to this too kindly and tells the farmers to think about his offer of taking half their crops or their lives.
Well, this stinks.
The next day, Obi, Annie and Ahsoka support the hunters in training the farmers to stand up for themselves, or once their funds have run out to pay for protection, their lives will be next on the list if another group of scavengers or ne'er-do-wells find themselves with ill intent. After a few tense moments in training, with one leading to Embo demonstrating his prowess as a hunter, which results in one of Hondo's spies being killed by him, this informs Hondo that the farmers are ready to go to war. Everyone gears up their defences with the Jedi remaining on guard, and Hondo begins to rain fire, and the battle ends with Hondo going toe-to-toe with Anakin and almost dying in the process, but manages to trick him to get him and his men away.
This effort is no longer profitable!
And we close on the farmers becoming more competent and self-reliant as Sugi offers the Jedi that ride they need to the Republic outpost. So, this plot might seem familiar to some of you with the experienced fighters supporting and training a village to defend themselves from raiders, and it absolutely should seem familiar.
I'm seeing double here.
Because it's been done to death over the years with a variety of takes on the archetypal design, as recent as The Mandalorian's first season, seeing Cara Dune and Mando doing the same thing. But as the intro card says, it started with the legendary Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai that focuses on desperate farmers hiring a Ronin to defend their home from raiders. Of all the titles to borrow or reference this picture and its designs, this episode of Clone Wars did a good job at modernising the themes for their own genre and adding a touch of flair to it while sticking to the heart of what the Seven Samurai delivered. For as good as this tale is though, and the cultural impact that it's had and what it's done for cinema today, it can't be denied that it has been done to death with just different aesthetics and characters along the way, but it would be nice on occasion to see something unique done with this one. Anyway though, the characters themselves impressively fill in the roles of the samurai, as there are coincidentally 7 here, but from when I first watched this, and possibly still to this day, the one samurai that caught just about everyone's attention was Embo.
Bad touch! Stranger danger!
The energy, the agility, the discipline, and stoicism are unlike anyone else I can remember in Star Wars, and he is the one bounty hunter I would love to see actualized in live action at some point. His presence was genuinely captivating, and I do wonder if this is how capable he was without any connection to the Force. Just imagine how he would be with a fucking lightsaber. The crew understood the assignment when animating this character, as they conveyed the sheer brutality of him and never giving anything about him away. It is fascinating with Embo's character, as whenever you see him, he's very much in it for himself, but he's also very amenable when the situation dictates it. Though history clearly means nothing to the guy, as we'll see in Season 6 of the Clone Wars, with Anakin becoming the target of one of his attacks, and it just seems that this history is forgotten. Dave knew what he created here, and Embo truly stole this episode in my opinion, but a little tidbit of information for those of you unaware: Filoni had originally written Embo to be killed off in this episode, but after a lengthy discussion between the crew behind the scenes, they felt that he was simply too cool to die on arrival, so they kept him alive. And a fact that I'm just learning in current day canon is that Embo is alive beyond the Battle of Jakku, which I think took place about a year or so after the events of the Battle of Endor. Now, allow me to move over to my favourite pirate for just 1 second. I pretty much gushed over how brilliant of a character Hondo was back in my coverage in Season 1, and I stand by pretty much everything I said about the character back then, as he is honestly the perfect foil here, for a few reasons. Firstly, he has nothing to lose from being defeated, as he's not on a political party, so he has no real stake in this war or nothing to lose. Secondly, this is the start of his character growth that we'll see extend to Star Wars Rebels in a very big way. And lastly, he's not driven by malice, but simply profit.
I smell profit.
He is possibly the least invested character when it comes to this war, but is willing to reap the rewards from it where he can, as we saw he tried to do back in Season 1, trying to sell Dooku off to the Republic.
I salute you, sir.
I love the charming, savvy, asinine qualities to Hondo, as it honestly makes for a good time whenever he's around. As 1 second he's rather endearing, and then the next he could be saying something that makes you question why you even liked him to begin with. He works seamlessly with just about every character he comes into contact with, and proves time and time again why this man should have had his own spin-off.
No, he's got a point.
It is interesting though when you think back to all of Hondo's appearances in the Clone Wars and realise that this is the most villainous he ever comes to be, as most of the time he manages to redeem himself. One thing I will say though that shocked me upon realisation was that Hondo got into a duel with Darth Vader and almost won. Regardless of the result, he held his own with an impressive display of skill that I don't believe we often see from him, but Anakin is supposed to be the best of them and almost got his ass handed to him by a lowly pirate. Hondo has a rather storied history at this point, so I'd urge you to go back and check it out for his other appearances, but any time that you can work Hondo into a piece of content, I'm game, and his next appearance will bounce from this one quite well as a lesson to our selfish savant. As for everything else in this episode, there's really not much else to delve into, as we saw the motivations of each of our Jedi come through pretty clearly, with Obi-Wan's devotion to orders directing his attention, whereas Anakin and Ahsoka were pretty keen on supporting the village without hesitation. Sugi, Serapis and Rumi were interesting additions to the bounty hunter backstock that they've built within Star Wars over the years, and I believe Sugi goes on with Embo to play a larger role in Maul's underworld takeover later on, but Rumi and Serapis really don't go anywhere beyond this adventure, and that's fine. I like the message of Serapis's inclusion to demonstrate that regardless of your size, you're strong enough to hold your own, even when people don't think you can, but other than that, both he and Rumi were pretty forgettable.
You're basic.
I love the debate over a bounty hunter's moral understanding of the galaxy, and that for however much this may just be a job to outsiders, some of these hunters do indeed carry a conscience and aren't just willing to corrupt themselves for the sake of a simple score, as proven with Sugi's dismissal of Hondo's offerings to step out of the way. To see a little more of Felucian culture was good as well, as we've only taken cursory glances at this world, and thanks to the Jedi they can continue to build a community of capable fighters as well as farmers. And generally the pacing of this was pretty breezy. The tone was darker than most of the first season. Everyone worked well off each other through this, and the idea that labels aren't everything and that your actions can speak louder than your words is the perfect message for younger audiences. Anyway, that's all I've got for this one. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to leave a like and hit subscribe and ring that bell so that you never miss an episode. And until next time everyone, take care and may the Force be with you.